The red and blue lights flickered across my ranch like some surreal holiday display, painting the fields and barns a shifting, uneasy glow. That Saturday evening, 3 patrol cars rolled up my gravel driveway, engine silent, their presence more threatening than any siren could have been. I set my coffee mug carefully on the porch railing, boots crunching against the stone path as I stepped toward them. The lead officer approached, hand resting lightly, but pointedly, on his utility belt, not on his weapon, but close enough to make a statement. "Sir, we received a 911 call regarding suspicious activity and possible trespassing on this property," he said, his tone clipped but professional. "We need to see some identification." I reached slowly for my wallet, keeping each movement deliberate and measured. "Officer, I'm Marcus Chun. I own this ranch. Could I ask who made this call?" He flipped open his notepad. The caller identifies herself as Karen Whitfield, president of the Willowbrook HOA. She claims someone unauthorized is occupying this property and refusing to leave. A corner of my mouth tugged upward. Karen Whitfield. Of course. I knew exactly who she was, even if she had no idea who I really was. This was going to be interesting. "Officer, I purchased this ranch 6 months ago. I have all the documentation inside if you need to verify ownership." I handed him my driver's license. "And just so we're clear, this property sits outside the Willowbrook HOA boundaries by about half a mile." 2 weeks earlier, my normally quiet Sunday morning had been shattered by aggressive pounding at my front door. I opened it to a woman in her early 50s, blazer buttoned despite the summer heat, clutching a clipboard like it was a weapon. Her highlighted hair practically screamed authority. "I'm Karen Whitfield, president of the Willowbrook Homeowners Association," she announced before I could even say hello. "We need to discuss your violations." I leaned casually against the doorframe, puzzled. "Violations? I think there's been a mistake. This property isn't part of any HOA." Her eyes narrowed behind designer glasses. "That's where you're wrong. The Willowbrook HOA has expanded its jurisdiction to include all properties within a 1-mile radius of our community borders. You'll need to register immediately and bring your property up to code." "That's not how HOAs work," I said patiently. "You can't just decide to expand your authority over properties that weren't part of the original development." She thrust a stack of papers at me. "These are your violation notices. Your fence is the wrong color. Unauthorized livestock. And don't even get me started on that barn. You have 30 days to comply or face fines." I didn't take the papers. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This is private property, and you have no authority here." Her face flushed red. "We'll see about that. I know people, important people. You'll be hearing from our lawyers." After she stormed off, I did what any prudent property owner would do. Installed security cameras. Lots of them. High-definition night vision, audio recording, everything. I had a feeling they'd come in handy. The harassment began immediately. Fake violation notices appeared taped to my gate daily, each one more absurd than the last. My mailbox overflowed with official-looking HOA correspondences threatening thousands in fines. Then she got creative. One morning, I found her inside my property line, snapping photos of my horses. "Ma'am, you're trespassing," I called, deliberately in view of the cameras. "Please leave immediately." She spun around with a triumphant smile. "These horses aren't registered with the HOA Livestock Committee. Each one, $500 per day. There's no HOA Livestock Committee with jurisdiction here." I said evenly, "You need to leave now, or I'll have to call the police." "You do that," she sneered. "Sheriff Thompson is my brother-in-law. Let's see how that works out for you." I didn't call the police. Not yet. Instead, I documented every trespass, every fake notice, every threatening voicemail. I was building quite a file on Karen Whitfield. What she didn't know was that I wasn't just some random ranch owner. I was Senior Vice President of Development for Pinnacle Property Group, the company that held the master contract for Willowbrook HOA's legal services and property management. Everything escalated when I refused to register my horses with her imaginary committee that was WHE standing in my driveway. 3 officers flanking me. I watched the lead officer's expression shift as he ran my license through the system. Mr. Chun, I apologize for confusion, he said after a moment. You're clearly the legal owner of this property. That said, we still need to discuss Ms. Whitfield filing a false report. Officer, I have something that might help, I said calmly, adopting a professional tone. I've been documenting Ms. Whitfield's harassment for the past 2 weeks. Security footage, trespassing incidents, fake legal notices. Would you like to see it? 20 minutes later, the officers were reviewing clips on my laptop. Each video seemed to deepen their concern. Karen Whitfield wandering uninvited across my property. Her threatening voicemails. Her attempts to intimidate me with imaginary HOA rules. Mr. Chun, would you like to press charges for harassment and trespassing? The lead officer asked. Not yet, I replied. I think there's a bigger issue here that needs addressing. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I knew by heart. Janet, it's Marcus Chun. I need you and Richard from HR at my ranch immediately. It's a situation involving one of our contracted HOA board members, Karen Whitfield from Willowbrook. She just filed a false police report against me. I could hear Janet sharpen take a breath. As president of Property Management Services, she reported directly to me. We'll be there in 30 minutes, Mr. Chun. I'm so sorry this happened. While we waited, I showed the officers more documentation. Fake fines, manufactured violations, attempts to extend HOA authority beyond legal boundaries. They took detailed notes and photographed everything. When Janet's car pulled into the driveway, Richard from HR following closely behind. Karen was with them. She had been picked up from her home under the pretense of an urgent HOA meeting. The look on her face when she saw the police cars was priceless, but it became even more so when she saw me standing there. What's going on here? She demanded, her voice high and indignant. Why am I being brought to this violator's property? Janet stepped forward, expression stern. Ms. Whitfield, are you aware that Mr. Chun is the senior vice president of Pinnacle Property Group? The color drained from Karen's face. Impossible. He's just some random person who bought a ranch. A ranch that sits outside HOA jurisdiction, Richard added firmly. Yet you've been harassing him, trespassing, and now filing a false police report. Do you understand the severity of this? Karen tried to recover, her voice trembling. I was just doing my job. The HOA board voted to expand our authority. I have documentation. No, you don't, Janet said icily. I've already spoken with the other board members. There was never any vote. You acted entirely on your own, using your position to harass and intimidate people. This ends now. The lead officer stepped forward. Ms. Whitfield, filing a false police report is a misdemeanor. You knowingly reported a false emergency, wasting valuable police resources. I'm citing you for false reporting and harassment. This is ridiculous. I know people. My brother-in-law is the sheriff. Karen sputtered. Former sheriff. The officer corrected calmly. He retired 3 years ago. Ma'am, you're looking at up to 6 months in jail and a $5,000 fine for the false report alone, not to mention potential civil charges from Mr. Chun. Richard cleared his throat. Ms. Whitfield, effective immediately, you are terminated from your position on the HOA board. Pinnacle Property Group is severing all ties with you. You will also be personally liable for any legal fees incurred by Mr. Chun or our company due to your actions. You can't do this, Karen protested, her voice rising toward a shriek. I've been HOA president for 8 years. The neighborhood needs me. The neighborhood needs someone who follows the law, Janet said, her tone unwavering. Security will collect all HOA property from your home tomorrow. Computers, files, keys. If you attempt to access any HOA systems or property after today, you will face additional charges. I watched as the weight of reality finally sank in. Karen's shoulders slumped, and for the first time since I'd met her, she seemed to shrink. The clipboard she had clutched like a lifeline slipped from her hands. I was just trying to maintain standards, she muttered weakly. And she called 911, reported me as a dangerous trespasser on my own land, to keep property values up by harassing law-abiding owners and making up rules? I asked, my voice calm, almost conversational. By abusing whatever small authority you had, Ms. Whitfield, you turn a volunteer position meant to help community into your personal dictatorship. The officer handed her the citation. Ms. Whitfield, you will receive a court date in the mail. I strongly suggest you obtain legal counsel. And if you come within 500 feet of Mr. Chun or his property, you will be arrested immediately. As they led her back to Janet's car, I could hear her muttering about unfairness, claiming no one understood her vision for community. But reality was closing in. She now faced criminal charges, thousands in fines, and a complete loss of the power she had wielded like a weapon for years. Janet approached me, her expression apologetic. Mr. Chun, I cannot tell you how sorry I am about this. We'll be reviewing all of Ms. Whitfield's actions as HOA president. I suspect we'll be reversing quite a few of her decisions. I appreciate that, I said. But let's make sure the next board president actually understands the limits of HOA authority. As the cars pulled away and my ranch returned to its peaceful state, I picked up my now cold coffee and returned to the porch. In the distance, my horses neighed softly, blissfully unaware that they had been at the center of a power struggle between an overzealous HOA president and the man who ultimately controlled her professional fate. 3 weeks later, 2 letters arrived. The first was from the district attorney's office. Karen Whitfield had pled no contest to filing a false report and harassment. She received 6 months probation, 100 hours of community service, and was ordered to pay $5,000 in fines plus my legal fees, which totaled an additional $8,000. The second letter came from the newly elected Willowbrook HOA board. They formally apologized for the previous administration's overreach. Their investigation revealed that Karen had systematically abused her position for years, inventing rules and levying fines that went directly into an account she controlled. Forensic accountants were still sorting through the mess, but preliminary figures suggested she had embezzled nearly $50,000 during her 8-year tenure. I set the letters aside and walked out to check on my horses. They grazed peacefully in the afternoon sun, unregistered and perfectly content. Sometimes the best response to a bully isn't direct confrontation. Sometimes you let them swing and make sure they hit something far bigger than they expected. In Karen's case, she aimed at a ranch owner and struck her boss's boss instead. The last I heard, she had moved 2 states away to live with her sister. Her reputation in Willowbrook completely destroyed. The HOA board position she had treated like a throne had become her downfall, all because she couldn't resist harassing one ranch owner who knew exactly who to call when she crossed a line. Her $13,000 in combined fines and legal fees served as an expensive but fitting reminder that real authority carries real accountability.